There you go.
Okay, we're in. So we were talking this feedback of your exercise where you guided us into the practice of connecting our heart chakra with our sacral chakra and circulating the energy between them. So I was saying it's very centering. It helped me also clear my spinal channel or focus on it. And it helped at some point. I was seeing the energy of my heart chakra literally showering into the lower centers.
Mm.
Probably that was my necessity at this moment, but probably everybody else has a different feeling. But with the circulation going up and down, at some point there was this cascading light going into the lower centers and filling it up. It's good.
Mhm.
Feels great.
It's, yeah, and actually it's great how you shared it, that it could be different. Someone else, where perhaps the connecting with the yoni or the lingam center, the sexual center of the woman or the sexual center of the man, or whoever is in the more masculine. It doesn't have to be a man, it could be a woman, or
Yes.
a male who is more in his feminine, also in the sexual experience, to connect with that beautiful seed of sexual life force energy that is so life-giving, and to have that fuel the heart center. Often the heart and the sexual center are so compartmental. For me, for example, it was like that when I had a deep disappointment when I was 18 years old with my first boyfriend, after we had intercourse for the first time, and it was very painful, and he left the relationship shortly after. I felt really lost, and I then armored myself. However, I became quite promiscuous. And so I was looking for love through sex. That is what I call being compartmentalized, when we are no longer just fully in our love energy, as we can be fully in our sexual energy, and they are integrated, they flow with each other. And for most of us, because this compartmentalization is not just an individual thing, it's actually a collective thing. We often speak about sexual energy being vilified, particularly for women, but as a collective, and not just in Western countries, all over the world, our relationship with the sexual is quite complicated.
And misleading also. It's also very misleading.
I was going to say,
and sometimes, go ahead, yeah.
No, just a little direction in that last exercise that Elsbeth led. For people, oftentimes they listen to a directive meditation and they're looking and waiting for something, and the mind is wandering. So a good way to focus is to put your mind's focused attention on the location of a suggested area, like in this case, the breath coming in from the heart. Your attention there, your intention to move it with the breath in the direction that you're willing to want to move it. And that gives the mind a focus. And then you can start to get more of the visceral feeling of the sense of energy. And when you extrapolate that out into working with sexual energy, then you're really able to move these aroused energy, high aroused energy. You can start to move with the breath, this orgasmic nectar for guys up to the heart, send it down, circulate it, the cosmic orbit, microcosmic orbit. So that's how you start to really begin to focus your mind's energy on energy.
Totally, and that also helps the masculine and the feminine, but the masculine especially, it helps them separate the orgasm from the ejaculation. So the more you focus in circulating that energy, the more you can transmute the basic sexual energy, and which is materializing into sperm. You can transmute it into chi, and you can transmit it into spirit.
Yeah.
So this practice, it helps a lot, not depleting your energy.
Yes. And the implications emotionally and socially that have for men, particularly, to start to separate out the ego and the unconscious attachments and the possessiveness and the jealousy and all the things that run us. Is it big? Is it hard? Is it too big? I've got to do something with my erection, as opposed to learning to breathe that energy and circulate and transmute, as you're saying, that energy. It really opens up for the man, the tantric man, the integrated man, the yin-yang balanced man. And we need more yin in the world. And that's what's going to save the world. So we've got to start balancing that masculine, feminine.
Mm-hmm. And we invite people in the audience, as you're watching this, please ask questions, because this is gold here. I mean, to meet a tantric couple with this vast of experience and this depth of practice as well, it's a rare thing. So shoot your questions before we complete, so that Freddy and Elsbeth can maybe pick up on that and tell us what you want to hear. So yeah, I'm just loving this conversation as always with you guys, because we're sharing the same views into intimacy and sexuality, very much so. I've met, hundreds of tantric teachers and practitioners, but very rare do they focus on love specifically. And I love love. It's all there is, So no matter how big the arousal, no matter how great the pleasure, no matter how vast the expansion of an orgasm that you can do within your body, when you expand energetically and when you connect into your heart, that's when the fun begins. That's when the divine begins. And that's when you can never be bored with your partner. People get bored because they don't expand vertically. They just go horizontally with each other. So tell us a bit about it.
That's very good. I'm so glad you bring this up, Cristiana. Because when we go back to the theme of our conversation, consciously creating intimacy and love, not falling into it, because our sexual drive is primal, and that is wonderful. And it is just like any other impulse, like anger is an impulse. The sexual is an impulse. I don't think about, do I want to get horny or not? No.
Yes, true.
I get horny. Now, once I get horny, I do have choice to either follow that or transmute it. That is up to me. That is also where we differ from animals. Animals are not self-reflective, so they don't have this moment of self-reflection, which opens up choice of going with an experience or not. And so then the integration in creating love and intimacy consciously, the integration of the physical, sexual, the emotional and love, and the mental, conscious, spiritual, to be coming together. And those are the key dimensions. I'm not saying there are not sub-dimensions, but these are the key dimensions that we want to learn to both become more aware of each of the dimensions, sex, love, and consciousness, as well as also how they then interact with each other. Because I can use my beautiful mind that is equipped with the potentiality of phenomenal focus. Of course, there's the other part of the mind, which is the chatter, the interpretations, the assessments, the judgment. However, by volition, I can bring myself to the focused mind, connect with my heart, because the mind and the heart, as you of course know, are very different. The frequencies are different, but we want them to be coherent so that my heart energy is coherent with my brain mind energy and vice versa, and is coherent with my sex energy. And that is really the lifelong practice of Tantra in my eyes. And this allows for the continual evolution of the individual and the couple, and then, of course, how that ripples out into the world to the people around us.
What would be the benefits of channeling your energy upwards and not going with the first impulse? I heard so many tantric people saying, you should listen to your yoni. You should listen. Yes, you should. And it's beautiful to stay connected there, or to your lingam in the case of men, of course. But there's impulses coming from various parts of us, and sometimes they can differ, right? So what are the benefits to also to it's good to listen to your body. At least my body guides me to the right people. Thank God. But it's highly trained to do so and to read frequency. But in a person who doesn't really tune that well into frequencies, what are the benefits to discern between listening to the body and the primal animalistic impulses, and listening and tuning into the heart and then maybe consciousness?
Very good. Well, I want to say, Cristiana, that a lot of what we do is in the head and in our analytical self. So when we tap into these different centers in our body that represent experiences in life, so when we tap into the sexual energy, very primal, creative, and pleasurable. And when we can get beyond just the carnal part of it and get into the energetic piece of it, and as that extrapolates out into our world and our life in terms of creativity and pleasure, that doesn't sound sexual. But when we tap into it from the sexual, it taps us into that. That's the intelligence of it. And that's the genesis of life, And so from that intimate experience of creative and pleasure, we can start to listen from our hearts. We can start to listen from an open place intuitively. We can start to speak our voice. We can start to tap into the infinite and the space of ad infinitum of the world, of ongoing, being grounded. So the deepening of our listening is what really is important. And I think the sexual is one of the unique pieces that when we get past just the pornographic part of it, leads us right to this intimacy, this altered state, physically and emotionally and chemically.
Yeah. So here's something you spoke about, Cristiana, about listening to the yoni or the lingam. If I cannot be present to my own sexual energy, I cannot engage with that energy in an integrative, in a fueling, in a consciously life-giving way. So when we look at sexual energy, most of the world engages with that energy either in an obsessed way or a suppressed way. Either one is listening. If I feel suppressed around that energy, I'm actually afraid of going towards it, and it may have good reasons. Perhaps I got abused. Why would I want to go back to that feeling when this energy reminds me when my dad or someone else, sexually abused me? So that needs to be cleared, because if I don't clear this, it's like it encapsulates my beautiful energy. And this is what I want to clear, so that this can return to its original state and purpose.
Yeah, until we can drop the antagonism and the vilification of our sexual selves, we won't make that spiritual quantum leap to seeing ourselves and each other and peace on the planet. So, forever we've been procreating, creating life with this energy, just automatic. The last 100 or so years, recreating with the development of contraceptives. And now we're talking about co-creating with this energy consciously. We could teach practices to nuns and priests if they were vowed to celibacy. It's about being the intimate, connected self that this energy leads us to.
Yes.
Practices
And there have been saints, I believe Mother Teresa or someone else, I don't know who now, who actually were speaking about channeling your sexual energy upwards in order to be creating a divine connection and abundance.
Yeah. Yes. And one of the problems with a lot of religion is the vilification of that, the dogma of this very spiritual thing that creates life, that it's pornographic and there's all these rules and yes and no and so on. It's often, the difference I often say between prayer and meditation is prayer is speaking to God, meditation is listening to God.
Okay,
always said that.
let's come around to that energy, because this is really, and again, this is a lifelong exploration, learning, evolving, because it is so fundamental. You know, none of us would be sitting here today and talking to each other if this hadn't been for this energy. And as we already alluded to, it's so loaded. And it's an individual journey, because it is my energy. Unless I clear whatever is there, be I obsessed with the energy or suppressed, you know, this only I can clear it. Now, others may support me in it, but the clearing itself is within. And once it's set free, then this energy is available to create, to imbue my physical health, my supporting my emotional well-being, connecting me with my intuitive, conscious self. You know, so I consider this energy to be a fuel. And consciousness brings awareness to that, you know, primal energy. That doesn't mean we stop that primal energy with our consciousness. No, we can think of it like channeling it, harnessing it, you know, just like we had harnessed the electrical energy. I mean, 200 years ago, there was the lightning. We had candles and oil lamps, but then we learned how to harness electrical energy, and now we can power a computer, you know, like our houses, all of it with it. In the same way, we can learn how to channel and harness that wonderful life-giving energy.
And I feel the glass is half full, you know, right now on the planet with the information dissemination highway, people are obsessed with pornography. And for the first time in the history of humanity, a lot of women are seeing what's possible in their own sexuality. And I'm not saying that the pornography is the end all to be all. It's the beginning. It's like people are starting to get enough of it. And then it's like, what else can we do with this wonderful energy? Now we learn meditation, sexual meditation. And so that's where I think we're leading with all of this obsessiveness now. But I think that the sexual piece will be one of the founding pieces that allow us to really drop into that altered state of seeing ourselves in each other, loving each other intimately, being heard, seen, and expressed.
Yes. And it's amazing to look at how the planetary education is evolving on this topic. Every year on Valentine's Day, I look at the movies that are streaming at the cinema, especially for the Valentine's because that educates a whole range of population, from children to teenagers to adults, and you know, whomever goes to the cinema. It educates them into what love is now on the planet. So I've been monitoring that for many years. Just I was guided to. I don't go to the cinema. I just watch what's playing for Valentine's. So for years, it has been the 50 Shades of Grey. Every year, a new launch, because there was a big book. I didn't read it, but I know it had many episodes or something.
Yes.
Then I don't know what played next, but now it plays the striptease guy, the Magic Mike, where the men are somewhat serving and, you know, opening women into expanding sexually, and women are more empowered. It has shifted a little bit, the frequency, not very high, but it's evolving into a direction. It's still very sexual. It's still not so much about love, or at all about love. It's still very deeply ingrained into primal instinct, which is good. But it has evolved just a little bit, I think.
Yes, it's evolving. We're headed in the right direction. And with your work and our work, we'll all keep moving it that way.
Like even the movie industry, it's catching up with this, you know, and it's good to watch what's playing in the field on Gaia, because that's what we're working with, actually, you know.
Yes, it's a barometer. Yes.
Any final notes or something you would like to add, or if you want and have time, we can continue, of course, but we promised you not to keep you longer than an hour, so we can keep going as long as you feel it's okay.
Yeah,
And again, people can ask questions in the comments if you want.
yes, yeah. So just as a final message I want to send people off is to have a daily connection with yourself, because if you're in relationship, that flows, the connection with your beloved flows out of the connection with yourself. To have a daily practice, be it 3 minutes where you connect like what we did earlier, or just placing your hands on your heart center. Now, when you do it, bring total focus to it. Like it's a sacred moment with yourself. If we do it, half-assed, it doesn't have much value. But that dropping into for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, or have a daily practice of 20 minutes or half an hour. But what I have found is that even the short moments when I bring myself to myself through the breath, connecting with my heart and connecting with, what my intention may be for the day or for the month or for the year, which this year is gratitude, to drop back into that space daily, that really allows the nervous system to calibrate, and then the nervous system to become more and more familiar with it. And then I'm with others, including my beloved, a space of gratitude, appreciation, welcome, So a daily practice by yourself. And then, of course, if you're in relationship, daily practice with your beloved.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yes, you are very sweet, you too. And again, I would love to meet you in person.
We are going next year again. We are already making plans.
We'll be in Greece. So maybe
no.
Well,
we are not.
Where are we going?
We are not offering a retreat in Greece.
No. We're being there.
No, we're going Costa Rica.
Oh.
Okay. Yes.
Next February.
Okay.
We to be back in Costa Rica. It's for couples only. So you have to be paired with someone really dedicated to do the work with.
Yeah, totally. I get it. Okay. Yeah, it's good to hear. Same date, 10th of February. I remember it was.
It's the 10th through the 17th of February. 2020.
That sounds great.
Yes.
So nothing is lost actually in the universe.
Nothing is lost.
Nothing is lost. Everything reshapes and transforms. Let's hope then.
Yes.
And I hope to be with you. And also feel free to come to the Pranic Festival in Romania. I know it's a bit far away, but we're doing it every year in August, and we would love to have a tantric couple speaking directly, or also online possibility. Yeah, it's 15th to 18th of August. We discuss all things energy, all the energy practice that keeps us into a higher autonomy. There are people who have been nourished by prana without needing physical food for 30 years. The level of the energy practice and the energy circulation with these guys is sky high, or not even the sky is the limit. So they are sharing a lot about energy healing and breath work and how to be nourished by source. But they're also sharing about tantric practices and stuff. And part of my job is to bring the tantra in. So I'm highly considering, and I think it would be great if you were there.
We'll have to look more into it.
Yeah, send us the
website
dates.
And the dates and all of everything, and maybe, who knows?
We can plan.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And if not, just online could be also working as we did now. And it's August 15 to 18. It's on Mother Mary's Day every year because she has such a beautiful connection with everything that has to do with planetary evolution. One last thing that comes to my mind, and I'm feeling not to finish without it. What are the benefits of circulating your energy in a multi-orgasmic and alchemical way, instead of spelling it out like everybody does. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it in porn, you see it in your friends, you see it everywhere. Why not just ejaculate or just come the normal way and learn to circulate and preserve that energy? What does it do?
Yeah, there are two differences between men and women. Do you want to do the
Right. So for the man, practicing circulating of energy, which a lot of guys, they say, well, I can last as long as I want. I'm not a quick comer, right? We're not talking about, lasting or, thinking about Babe Ruth or counting backwards from, 1,000. We're talking about consciously circulating this orgasmic nectar, which rises our consciousness above this organic being. We're now dropping into a ethereal consciousness space with this physical energy. So that really rises the energy and the capacity of what's possible in this realm of life that we're living and in our own dreams. So that it sounds like, well, it's disconnected, but it's like you say, oh, that's a little woo-woo, but what's really woo-woo are single-celled amoebas, multi-celled organisms, and a universe that goes on for ad infinitum. And that's our lineage. So we're just beginning to tap into something that's age-old and is conscious. And so sexual energy was creating life before we had language. So when we can bring our intellectual consciousness to it, which is transcending the automatistic, limbically wired ejaculatory process to procreate the species, we can tap into something that's universally age-old and very intelligent in terms of our own sourcing. When I say, oh, well, own your upsets, if you can start to tap consciously into your sexual, you can start to see your upsets, make requests if you have them, but not be externally referenced, but also start sourcing your world from inside and start dreaming the world you want to create.
You dream it into being. Yes, you
dream it into being. That's right. That's what we're doing. Anyway, consciously or unconsciously. So let's dream a good one.
That sounds really empowering. I'm remembering even a businessman like Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Dedicated a whole chapter of his book, which is about making money and having success in business. A whole chapter was dedicated to mastering the sexual energy.
Yeah. We talked about him in our book, actually. We mentioned him in our book, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah. I'm loving it too. I'm always speaking about it in our retreats because some people, they don't think necessarily of how can I be a greater lover to myself or my partner, but they are thinking about money and success and focus and having the ability to materialize and manifest and shift realities with the power of thought. You can't shift realities with the power of thought if you don't put the right energy to it and if you don't master it. So
that's right.
Yeah. So how about you, Elsbeth? What does it do for women?
Yes. So given that male sexual energy, masculine or yang sexual energy is based in testosterone, it rises quickly, gets easily excited, and then also drops quickly, unless the man learns to, circulate that energy.
Slow burn it, yeah.
So for women, or the one who is in their feminine energy, because again, that could be the whole spectrum from men to women and everything in between or beyond.
Yes.
Is that it's based more in estrogen energy, which is the slow hormone. So it requires or calls for reawakening of the energy. So they are totally different. It goes like this, while she's still hanging out there, or the one who is in their feminine. So for the feminine, we want to cultivate the reawakening of that energy. That may take time. It usually calls for trust, that there's a space created where trust can arise. So when we work with women, or I work with women, I teach a workshop which is called Awaken to Your Feminine Essence. I always, support women in connecting with their wonderful Shakti energy. So setting her free before we go to channeling and circulating.
Yes.
Also in our couples workshops, when we come to the yoni ritual, this is not about sustaining her energy. This is about letting it flow like this. If this is the masculine, this is the feminine. They are
It goes in spirals. It goes in
yes,
spirals.
and they complement each other very well. So we want to have that flow. And when women connect with that, or the one who is in their feminine, they become alive, they become flowing physically, emotionally, feel freed, and often when women free themselves in that way, they become more connected with their creative self. They may create new careers or alter their careers so that it really is coherent with who they are becoming. Now, for me, having practiced this, in self-love and in partner love, is now that I also, particularly in self-love, channel my energy and circulate so that this energy is available not only for pleasure of my physical being, but also raising my emotional frequency. And then now what's more and more important is the connection to the conscious. I don't mean just my own consciousness, but the universal consciousness.
Universal.
Yes. And so when I spill my energy, there is, there's a completion. When I circulate the energy, this is like, it's a foreverness. And that can really support me in raising my consciousness, what I pick up, what I, sense.
Yes. Yes, there's so much stuff that comes in as questions now. I could talk to you for hours. There's actually a song with the same verse. But yeah, I don't want to keep you here till forever. I loved this talk. I would go into a next one, to discuss universal consciousness, to discuss inner healing, to discuss what happens when Kundalini arises, for example, to discuss why it's good and why it's dangerous if you're not trained, and so many things that are happening in and outside of bed with the intimacy and the sexual energy. We have to schedule another meeting at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so, a theme like sex consciousness, something like but anyway, I also just want to mention that we have a gift for everyone who's listening
totally.
today.
Tell us a little bit about it. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, great. It's called Ignite Your Relationship, both relationship with self and relationship with another, with a beloved. So if you want to pick that up and look at it and talk further with us about it, we are here.
Yes. So for everyone watching, Elsbeth and Freddy, you can find them at tantranovainstitute.com. I will place the class that they are offering as a gift on our WhatsApp group and on our page so that you can access it and enjoy it. I've started watching yesterday and loving it. And if you want to chat with them, they also have a complimentary session that they're offering. I mean, they're doing a great job altogether. And if you want to keep watching us, we do have some bonus interviews that are just announced. Like they are one of the bonuses in the summit, because we were about to complete on the 18th. So we're keeping it going because there's still speakers that want to come in. On Thursday, guys, you will meet with Galina El-Shiraz from Russia. She's been nourished by energy, only drinking water since 2003. I've known this personally because she's lived in my house during the festival. So she drinks cold water during the day and hot water during the night. And that's her menu generally for many 20 years now. Her consciousness is sky high. She's an amazing healer, and you're gonna watch our conversation on Thursday on 23rd of February at 12 p.m. Bucharest time. So stay tuned. We'll announce it on our channels. Watch our Facebook page, Pranic Festival Online, to see if anyone else is coming up as a surprise bonus speaker. And remember that on Wednesday we have sound healing, ecstatic dance, and cacao ceremony in Brasov and online. And then in the weekend we have relationships, intimacy, and eros retreat. So all of that you find on our soulhealingacademy.com website. Hope to meet you soon in person, everyone watching, and you too, guys, and loving the fact that you've been with us tonight. I'm so, so grateful. I'll send you the link to all the other talks so that you can watch. And see you soon, whenever that is. And if you want to add something, please do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good health. We'll see you again soon on
See
the
you
path.
soon. Ciao, everybody. See you soon. And all the links that we've mentioned are also in the comments on YouTube and our streaming page, so you can also watch them there. Big hugs, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you on Thursday. Bye-bye.